Hey, what's up guys, this is Trav, and welcome to another video right here on the channel. Why am I dressed up? I don't know, I felt like it. We are definitely excited today to bring you my version of what Ryan did on his, well, this is his channel. What he did was the top 15, his top 15 favorite movies, favorite films ever. This type of thing is actually a lot more difficult to do than people would think, because when people ask you what's your favorite movies, most of the time you're gonna have a problem deciding on what those are. And honestly, I was surprised at myself to figure out that it actually wasn't that difficult for me. I actually made the list in my head while I was watching his video. So, indulge me here. This movie list is definitely not perfect. It is definitely not exactly precise, because movie list, top 15 as a matter of fact, is definitely not something that is just easily done. I was fighting in my brain what's my top 15, but I did figure out in my head 15 of my favorite movies of all time and did my absolute best to put them in order. And I really love these films. Ryan's video was mostly nostalgia, mostly, a couple new things in there, but it definitely was very interesting. I found it very interesting enough to do my own version of it for you guys, for those of you that care. But rather you give a crap or not about what I think about movies, this is my top 15 favorite films. And let us start with number 15, Iron Man 2008. Good old Iron Man, good old Robert Downey Jr. This movie started the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know today. And we will see this guy duke it out with Captain America in Captain America Civil War in May, and I am super excited to see it. But going off the note of Iron Man, this movie just really hit home with me. Great story. It really was able to make my top 15 by getting number 15 because it's just so well done. Jon Favreau did this movie, and it's just, and you know him from maybe Chef or something newer like that, and he's actually in the Iron Man movies. Iron Man 2 and 3 didn't really sit at home with me, but this one in particular is a fantastic movie, and is definitely one of my favorite superhero movies, if not favorite movies of all time. It's just really well done, great story. Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, as he just went through so much in his personal life, and then now he is Iron Man, and I cannot think of anybody else that would be this character. My actual favorite version of Rhodey was Terrence Howard. I was actually sad to not see him come back from Iron Man 2 because he did this role so well in the original Iron Man. And you have Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. She is fantastic. You got everybody that just a fantastic cast. It's just amazing. Iron Man is a spectacle of its own. Great villain, just so well done, and really great origin story to a superhero film, and really actually very heart-touching at times, and very like a real story. But in this big Marvel universe where there's, aliens and Guardians of the Galaxy, so it just somehow blends so well, and it started it all, and I love it so much. Iron Man is definitely amazing.
Alright, let's see what this thing can do. What's SR-71's record?
The altitude record for fixed-wing flight is 85,000 feet, sir.
Records are made to be broken. Come on!
That was number 15. Here is number 14 on my top 15 list. 2005's King Kong by Peter Jackson. This movie definitely hit home with me right whenever it came out. I love it as a child, and I love it as an adult. It's not the absolute best acted movie, I guess, but this movie just really does something for me, being a monster movie fan. There's a little bit of nostalgia here. I grew up with the original King Kong films, and this one just took the cake when it came out. I was so excited to see King Kong on the screen again, and Andy Serkis did an amazing motion capture for Kong. He just looks spectacular. And going off of that, as a little honorable mention of something that is coming out, is Kong Skull Island. I think is going to be fantastic. It's actually in the legendary universe with Godzilla 2014, so it's going to be a 2020 release for when Godzilla and King Kong battle it out. I think it's going to be fantastic, but 2005's Kong really gave a great story for Kong. It showed the darkness of the island that he's on. Skull Island is very crazy, but definitely amazing, guys. And that is my number 14. And my number 13 is another ape movie. Yes, number 13, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Yes, this movie is fairly new, but it grabbed me. It is amazing. I'm not really much of a fan of the old Planet of the Apes. There was that one that I kind of liked as a child. But, I mean, it was really, you know, that one was okay, but this one just really did it for me. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was an amazing story for the gorilla known as Caesar, how people just experiment with these apes, and the, you know, it's amazing. And Dawn really just added so much. It was, you know, without spoiling much, Caesar is a lot older and becoming more intelligent with his tribe of just apes and gorillas. It is amazing, and it has an amazing story with the humans. It's like kind of a human versus ape story, but they have to like try to work together, and it's just like so well done. And I love the director that directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He did not come back for this film, and I love this guy for doing this movie, because I think nobody could have done a better second film in this new rebooted franchise, where it's going to just connect to all the other Planet of the Apes. And I cannot wait for supposed War of the Planet of the Apes, which is the third film in this. But Dawn of the Planet of the Apes definitely is a very new film, but it literally does make my top 15 movies of all time because of how much it grabbed me and how great it's amazing.
Okay.
Number 12 and number 11 definitely are nostalgic films for me, but they are definitely something I have revisited recently, and I found out that they held up super well as an adult, and that is definitely Spider-Man 2, guys. The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. It's just so well done, guys. This really showed Spider-Man, and it's like, and it holds up so well. The CGI is really, really well done. Like, I was surprised to revisit it and notice how good it actually looks still. And Tobey Maguire will always be Peter Parker to me, but I mean, Andrew Garfield did a very fantastic job with it. But just because this is nostalgic, and because I grew up with this movie and I've watched it so many times as a kid, just literally putting it in, I think like almost every day for a whole week when I first got it. It just really is amazing. The guy that plays Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, is really, really, really well done. He did an amazing job. Kirsten Dunst, I felt she kind of fell short for me. Like, she just, I don't know, I think that she is way better in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I don't know what it is, but I really like Peter's story in this. How, you know, if you haven't seen this by now, then definitely go check it out, guys. Spider-Man 2 is definitely an amazing spectacle, and I'm also a really big Spider-Man fan, so I love this movie a lot.
He stole that guy's pizza!
I couldn't really decide if Spider-Man 2 should be above this movie or below it. It is literally like they are like this, guys. It's like this. Not one is necessarily better than the other, so they're like this, and I cannot help but to have them right beside each other. But number 11 is Spider-Man, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man, guys. This movie I revisited recently, and as much as there are issues with it, I can't help but to get the nostalgic feel, because it is so, like, it's because I loved the animated Spider-Man series, the 90s animated series. It's how I got hooked on Spider-Man, and I love how well done this is, guys, with how just exact, like, I've never thought that James Franco could, and this was the first James Franco role I've ever seen because I was a kid when this came out. James Franco is Harry Osborn. Spot on. He was Harry Osborn based right off the original stuff. Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe, you know, like he wanted to play Green Goblin and he got it, and he's amazing at it. The effects sometimes can get kind of whatever. You know, it's the Goblin. I kind of wish they would have put a cape on him or something kind of cool, like, or whatever. And I understand that he had a helmet to hide his identity, but I don't know. But everything on the side, guys, like Aunt May in both Spider-Man 2 and the original one, this woman plays this role so well. Uncle Ben is amazing. Every actor is literally just like the original, and going off of what I said about Spider-Man 2 or Kirsten Dunst, I felt like she fell short. She did so much better in the original Spider-Man. She felt like Mary Jane, and she looked just like Mary Jane, because why did they give her the light-colored hair in Spider-Man 2? I don't know, but that dark red color is straight out of the comics. She looked just like Mary Jane, and she... whatever. I felt like their chemistry was so much better in the original. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm blind, but that is just my opinion on this. And still, one of my favorite teaser trailers of all time is the original Sam Raimi's Spider-Man teaser. This thing is fantastic. It gives me chills every time. And what's so funny is I feel like the original Spider-Man actually has better CGI moments than Spider-Man 2. I'm not joking. This movie just really, really looks good. That ending shot with him on the flag, like the whole web-swinging scene at the very end of the movie, is so well done. I actually prefer it over anything I see in the Amazing Spider-Man series. Which, coming off of that, an honorable mention I have to mention is Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's version of this. You could say what you want about Amazing Spider-Man 2, I did enjoy it, but the superior one is definitely the original Amazing Spider-Man. I think that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield brought two different kinds of Peter Parkers to that role, and I love Amazing Spider-Man, but I grew up with Spider-Man 1 and 2 from Sam Raimi, so I just love them so, so much.
They're crap. 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 Mega crap. I'll give you $200 for all of them.
That seems a little low.
Take them somewhere else.
Number 10. Oh look, we're down to another Marvel film. What do you know? Avengers 2012. This movie made it onto Ryan's list as well, and for me, it makes it right at number 10. It is an amazing spectacle. It just, you know, after Iron Man, everything was launched, and then they eventually made Avengers, and I felt like it was going to take forever when it came out, and now we're in 2016, and we're getting Civil War and all that good stuff, guys. It's going to be an amazing blast, but Avengers was the first, Avengers, it was the first time for them to all be in the movie together, and it is fantastic. It's just so well done. Comic book films are amazing, guys, and this really, really was right beside The Dark Knight, with it being a big spectacle of a, you know, you can say what you want about Dark Knight, but, you know, don't try to compare them. Dark Knight is definitely an amazing movie, but Avengers just has its own taste. It's Marvel, and it was amazing for its time, and it's going to be amazing for a long time. It's going to hold up for a very long time. All these actors, everyone, that they had all the standalone films building up to this, and it was just so fantastically done. A lot more than I think I even thought going in, and so it's going to be amazing to see the rest. And an honorable mention is Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie is also really well done, and I may not like it as much as Avengers 1, but it is definitely right up there. Actually, they're probably side by side. They're actually very even for me. Age of Ultron has its own flavor, its own whatever. It's a little bit darker. Ultron was a little bit of a disappointment for a villain, but both these movies are fantastic, and they're gonna go down as two of the best comic book films of all time.
Enough! You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Number 9 is probably going to be a surprise to everybody, but it was honestly a surprise for me to even think, wow, this actually is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it really does make the list. Number 9 is 12 Angry Men. This movie captured exactly what you want out of like a sort of court and law movie or whatever. It really is just like, it literally takes place in two rooms, the courthouse and the jury room. The jury is what this movie is about. I don't know that one main actor's name, but he's in a lot of stuff. But he was amazing. Every single person plays a role in this movie. The whole movie takes place in one room until the very end. And I won't spoil this, even though it is an old movie. I won't spoil it because I want you guys to go check it out. It may be on Netflix. 12 Angry Men is definitely my number 9 because it's so well done. It really, it's an old film, but it's just so beautifully done. I'm hanging on to every moment when these guys are trying to figure out if this kid that committed this crime is guilty or not. And it's just a movie about a jury sitting in a room trying to figure it out, and they argue, they banter, they fight. There's this one guy that's like just thinking that, hey, what if this kid is innocent? And, you know, and I won't tell you the outcome, but he is an amazing character in this movie. 12 Angry Men is definitely one of my favorite films of all time, and I think always will be, because just something about it just hooks me the entire time. You're so curious on how this is going to end. So, yes, 12 Angry Men.
I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
It may have been too many. Everyone has a breaking point.
Getting further down the list, what has made my number 8 favorite movies of all time is Man of Steel, guys. 2013. Henry Cavill is the best Superman yet. This movie I've watched a couple times recently, actually, and on different occasions with different people. This movie is just like Superman's origin, guys. Like, I know we can all talk about Christopher Reeve and how amazing he was as Superman and all this, but I feel like when it comes to embracing change and moving forward with a good story, this movie embraces Superman's origin. We get to see Krypton at the beginning of this film. It shows exactly what happens on Krypton and how Superman even came about. And you know, there's different versions of all different comics, but Zack Snyder did a fantastic job at bringing this new DC universe after all the success of Marvel. With starting it with Man of Steel is literally so perfect. Just being Superman, you need to start the DC universe with Superman, and he did it right. This movie is just fantastic. The villains, the cast, like everything. Say what you want about Henry Cavill, I think he's amazing. He has the look, and he just acts like he has the perfect Clark Kent way about him. And an honorable mention of what's to come is Batman v Superman, the second film in this new DC universe, the sequel, as you could say, to Man of Steel. This movie's going to be fantastic. I feel like Ben Affleck is just embrace the fact that Ben Affleck will be Batman. Just embrace it, because he looks like the comic book way of, you know, the comic book version of Batman we've always wanted. The Dark Knight and all that was amazing, Nolan, but Man of Steel is just one of my favorite movies of all time because of how well done it. And there's a lot of hate for this movie, but I think it is literally I'm not joking, a masterpiece all the way through.
You know, they say it's all downhill after the first kiss.
I'm pretty sure that only counts when you're kissing a human.
I have mentioned The Dark Knight several times in this list, comparing it to other things, so now we are down to number 7, The Dark Knight. This movie was amazing, and is amazing. Batman Begins started at these, and it's not really, it's very weird for a sequel in a trilogy to be the best one. Usually the original of something is usually the best thing ever, but The Dark Knight is the actual second movie in the trilogy for Christopher Nolan, and people remember that more than anything. And I think what really holds it up is Heath Ledger as the Joker. He was fantastic as in this role. He brought a certain version of the Joker that we really haven't seen yet. Not necessarily super psycho, but very modern and very down to earth. Christopher Nolan brought Batman down to earth with this movie. He brought, you know, he didn't want any people like questioned like, oh, well, why couldn't they have just, you know, put freaking Christian Bale's Batman in the new Superman universe? Why couldn't they like just stop? Because Nolan said no to any like DC universe references like aliens and all that. So I'm just fine with Ben Affleck being the new Batman because embracing change. It's like people are like, oh, but that just throws away the fact that The Dark Knight and all that ever existed. No, it doesn't. The Dark Knight stands on its own as an amazing, brought down to earth modern Batman film, as is the whole trilogy, because I love Batman Begins and Rises. It's Dark Knight, Rises, and Batman Begins in that order for those three. Dark Knight is definitely amazing. Heath Ledger is fantastic. The whole cast is amazing. Out of breath. That movie is fantastic, hands down.
Alright, so listen, why don't you give me a call when you want to start taking things a little more seriously. Here's my card.
I find number 6 slightly hilarious that it is the 6th movie in the franchise that I'm going to talk about. Number 6 is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This movie is fantastic. I am a Star Wars fan, hence my Captain Phasma shirt from Force Awakens. Let's mention real quick, Force Awakens, guys. Star Wars is back. Force Awakens is amazing. I wanted it. I wanted it to be in my top 15 movies because I definitely believe it belongs in there, but there's just so much nostalgia and so many other movies that are there, but I think Force Awakens definitely makes in my top 20 films of all time. It's just so well done. JJ, you did a fantastic job. But anyway, Return of the Jedi is fantastic. Luke Skywalker's story pretty much ends, not ends, but it really finishes off in its time, like for 30 years prior to Force Awakens or whatever. It's really well done. That last fight between Vader and him, that last conflict is just so, I'm hanging on to everything. You can say what you want about Ewoks, and I think the Ewoks are actually the reason that Return of the Jedi isn't my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, because some of this movie is just simply bland. It's not perfect, but I have to pay homage to Star Wars. This movie is fantastic. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'll enjoy it, and you know where it stands in it. I love the beginning with Jabba's palace and all that, how it's like Luke returns as a master, not master necessarily, but a more powerful Jedi than before. I love his character arc. I love all of it. Star Wars Return of the Jedi is definitely number 6 in my top 15 movies of all time.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. So be it, Jedi.
So where are we at? Oh, we're at number 5. We're already down to the top 5, my top 5 favorite films of all time, and what makes this number 5 is Godzilla vs. Biollante, guys. This movie is so underrated, guys. It is one of Toho's original Godzilla films. This is 1989. This movie is fantastic on every level. And I'm just going to throw this out there, I'm a big Godzilla fan, and it is definitely one of those movies. It's like, just so well done for its time. 1989 was it was right before the 90s. It was, we had just kind of recently gotten out of the whole really campy Godzilla movies, the really cheesy ones. I literally am not a fan of any of those. I was as a child. I guess Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original, was actually pretty good, but this movie is dark. It's one of the darker Godzilla films. I love the suit. I love Biollante as the villain. There's kind of a brother and sister battle thing kind of going on because Biollante is actually made from the same cells as Godzilla. It's amazing, guys, and it's not just a childhood favorite. It's not just one of those things. I've seen this several times as an adult, and it holds up so well. Toho, you started something just in 1954 that will always have a place in my heart. Godzilla is one of my favorite things ever, and definitely he's inspirational. I love this movie, Biollante. Definitely all the actors, everything. I don't really know any of their names, but it is definitely one of the best Godzilla movies of all time, and in my top 5 favorite films of all time. But at number 4, we are definitely not done with the King of the Monsters himself. At number 4 of my top favorite movies is Godzilla 1954. Not to be confused with 1956's version, the American cut version with Raymond Burr, the American actor. That's the first one I've ever seen. You may know it as Godzilla King of the Monsters. That's the American cut, but as an adult, I've seen both several times, the American cut and the 1954, and I just find the 1954 version is just so much better, so much darker. You get more. They cut out a lot for the American cut that I didn't realize. They touch actually on a love story I didn't really know was there as a child. And just for its time, 1954 is so fantastic. The suit is fantastic. I love the black and white look of this. Godzilla just looks amazing in this. I need a figure of this creature. I need him, his 1954 version, because he just looked so cool. And to kind of pay homage, Godzilla Resurgence is coming to Japan this year, and they're trying to kind of base it off of the original 1954, so he's gonna look kind of similar to his original suit look, and it's gonna be really cool. And I'm excited to probably get it in 2017 in America, because I don't see how we would actually get it, but the original 1954 Godzilla will always be one of my favorite movies of all time. Not only is it a childhood favorite, but it holds up so well as a masterpiece. I'm not joking. A masterpiece of a monster film today in 2016. I will watch it over and over if the mood is right. Yes, it is fantastic and has made in my top 4 films of all time. Oh look, we're in the galaxy far, far away again. Number 3 is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This movie, guys. This movie. Spoiler alert, there is no more Star Wars movies in this list after this one. The Empire Strikes Back, I have come to the conclusion over time, is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It is really what truly makes me a Star Wars fan, is this particular movie. It is dark, it's crazy. Vader is the best in this particular movie. I love his conflict in Return of the Jedi a whole lot, how there's kind of a character arc, but I love this movie. It just does everything right for Star Wars. A New Hope is definitely not one of my favorite things ever, but definitely Empire is the true amazing sequel that we needed after A New Hope. It continues the story of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, and all of them. But it is so well done. I can tell the difference between when I watch A New Hope, I can tell the difference in the direction, the way it's directed. George Lucas did the original, another guy did Empire, and it's just so much better than the original Star Wars, in my opinion. You got the Hoth battle, you got everything you want, and one of my favorite lines of all time is when Luke goes in the chamber. It is literally the most chilling sound ever. It's the most chilling thing Vader has ever said, in my opinion. Here it is.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
It's fantastic. Vader was so menacing in that part. He was so ready to just put away the fact that he knows Luke is his son, and he's pretty much saying, get up here and show me what you got. And he showed him what he got, because he got his arm cut off. Whew, last two, guys. Here we go. Last two. Number 2 in my top 15 movies of all time is The Fox and the Hound, guys. This movie, I have not had that many, or actually, this is the only animated movie in my top 15, even though it was so hard not putting certain movies in here, like The Incredibles. Ryan put The Incredibles in his list, and that is so spot on because it's fantastic. But honestly, I could see me doing a top 15 animated films of all time because I couldn't put any animated movies into this list because this is my list. This is my list of favorite movies of all time, even though there's so many animated movies that I love. But I just couldn't figure out enough. But Fox and the Hound is definitely number 2 for me. It is so beautiful, guys. This movie is so good. It can make you cry. It hurts so much. I actually recently visited A Land Before Time, and that movie should have been in there, but this list was so hard to create. It was so hard to, I mean, it wasn't that hard, but it was very hard to not put Land Before Time in here. But Fox and the Hound is definitely, it's just so good. It just really captures the story of love in a way. It's really strange, like, it, you know, and foxes just so happen to be my favorite animal, honestly. I need a pet fox. I will get a pet fox one day. I've always loved films about talking animals, and Todd as the fox is just fantastic. You have the hound, Copper, and one day I will have a dog and I will name him Copper, no matter if he's a hound or not. I will probably have a fox and a hound named Copper and Todd. It was so beautiful for its time, and I grew up with it, watching it all the time. It as an adult, it'll hit you in your heart. It's really dark, especially the bear scene at the end is one of the best action sequences of any movie ever. Not even just animated. It is just so well done. Amazing voice acting, amazing story, amazing just compassionate, like, just a strange, like, kind of brotherhood film about a dog and a fox. It's just so good, and it is my number 2 movie.
Oh, shucks. I think I bent my beak.
Now see what you done? You cost us our breakfast.
I cost us our breakfast. It was your fault.
What are you talking my fault?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What are you talking my fault? Oh, no. You were the one who let it know. You were the one who
for breakfast?
Oh, yeah? Well, if it wasn't for you,
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. This is it. My number 1 movie of all time, and I've had a lot of time to think about this. As many times as I've seen it, I have truly decided that it is my number 1, and the problem is, though, Fox and the Hound and this are like this, but I had to put one over the other, so I had to figure it out. My number 1 movie of all time is The Shawshank Redemption. This movie is just so thoroughly good, so well done. Morgan Freeman, you're fantastic. Tim Robbins, Just, I don't know him from anything else, but this is my favorite movie he's in because he is amazing. All the cast is fantastic. I think it's kind of a long movie when you're watching it. The pacing, it feels very long, but it doesn't drag. It's really flowy. It just does a good job. This movie takes place, I think it starts off in 1949, and it's just one of those movies where a lot of time passes through all the movie. I think actually 20 years have passed. Actually, yeah, 19 years as a matter of fact, near the end of the movie. If you want to see a movie about a guy being locked in prison for years over something he may or may not have done, and this brotherhood with him and Morgan Freeman, it's just fantastic, guys. Like, their story arc grows, their friendship grows, you have all these other characters. I won't say who dies in this story, but there is a death, and it is definitely very, very, very touching. It's just so well done. Shawshank Redemption, I can't think of any other movie, no animated film, no live action film, nothing will go above Shawshank for me until something comes along and snags me harder than this movie does. It's just so well done, and just my favorite movie of all time for right now. Yeah.
For the second time in my life, I'm guilty of committing a crime. Parole violation. Of course, I doubt they'll toss up any roadblocks for that. Not for an old crook like me.
So that's Trav's top 15 movies of all time. My favorite films of all time. It was very hard to do. I came up with the list pretty quick, but in my brain I know that after this is over I'm already going to be thinking of other movies that could have been in there, and blah, 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 but I could have done a top 20, but I went with what Ryan did, and I think I will probably do that tease towards Fox and the Hound being the only animated movie in there. I really want to do, and I think he's going to do it, favorite top 15 animated films of all time. I think we're going to do some top number lists for films, because we're movie buffs. Movies it's an art. It's an art, and rather it's nostalgic, new, or whatever. It's funny how old movies can grab you and new movies can grab you. Not every new movie is bad. People need to stop believing that. New movies can be really well done, and I could only hope that one day I will rather screenwrite, produce, or direct my own movie. I don't know, it probably won't happen, but either way, it is definitely... movies are fantastic, and definitely will always have a very, very, very special place in my heart, if not one of my most important things in my life. I'm a movie buff, and so yes. Alright guys, just so I know that you made it to the end of this video, give it a thumbs up. Definitely like this video. We appreciate all your support here on Worse. It is definitely an experience to do this. Definitely check out my channel as well. You can find me over on Trav Tries on my channel. The channel name is Traverage. That is Trav and Average blended as one word. Definitely check me out over on my food reviews, and I'm also doing some vlogging recently, so definitely stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for more reaction videos for me and Ryan, where we try to react to all the new trailers and everything. And if you do not like our reactions, deal with it, because we're not going to exaggerate our reactions with fake faces, because I've seen reactors out there that do that, and I would prefer to actually react to it how it's supposed to be reacted to it, whatever your actual reaction is. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Worse, and you will definitely be seeing us in the next one. Peace out. See you later. Forgive me, Jurassic Park. I didn't think of you when I made the list. I didn't think of you. You do belong in my top 15 somewhere. But there's just no knowing truly where. You will always go down as a favorite.